Realistically, how long does it take for someone to make a crore in savings? Hey Neil, welcome to Money with DD. I am so excited to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here.
I've been following your content and been a big fan of the kind of data, the rich data that you have in personal finance on Indians, about Indians.
Thank you.
I don't think, I've read a lot of books. I'm a part of various online communities, and I haven't seen that level of detailed, rich data about personal finances, about asset classes, about how people are thinking about money.
Yeah.
I believe every Indian should be managing their money. But what are the three things that come to your mind that everyone should know about money or personal finances?
So the first thing is that we should put the personal back in personal finance. What can work for one person might not work for another person. And there are a lot of generic rules out there on social media which are well intentioned, like equity will build your wealth, but that might not work for everyone. There could be people who are very risk averse who it doesn't work for. That's one. The second is that we should be aware of who is the person telling us anything about personal finance and how do they make money, because that invariably guides the kind of advice you get, the quality of advice you get. And the third thing is that, like going to the gym, like any other thing in life, you get better with time. So the earlier you start, the better, because you have more time to just build yourself up. I have a twist to that.
Yeah.
So it's not just that starting early gives your time more money to grow. That is true. But I think starting early is important because it gives you a chance to make your mistakes early in life when you have less savings to invest and more scope to go wrong. So from both angles, starting early.
You're right on point. And so let's take this example right now. In media, there is a lot of talk. We have a few politicians and personal finance influencers also saying that personal finance should be integrated in the education system.
Yes.
In schools, children should be taught.
Yes.
Okay. What would you include in the curriculum on personal finance for children, and at what age?
So actually I've had a couple of opportunities to talk to college students, and the biggest issue that I face is that because they don't have any money of their own, it all becomes very theoretical and abstract. So any curriculum has to first of all tackle that big challenge. One radical way is to involve the parents and somehow get the families to give some kind of pocket money, and then that child can really think about money in a very real way.
I'll share two things over here. One is we are not like the Americans where 15-year-olds in the US are earning money through part-time job, right?
Yeah.
In India, right, even undergrad, postgrad is funded by their parents.
Yeah.
So there is really no pressure for money, barring a few people.
Correct.
Right? Decent chunk. I'm not saying it's not a
Yeah.
big chunk of people, but majority are kind of well taken care by their parents.
Yeah.
So कभी पैसा कमाया नहीं है तो manage करने का सवाल ही नहीं आता, because they are only spending.
Correct.
Pocket money is also comes from the point of view of spending, not earning.
Correct.
And so I completely agree with you. I got into this Twitter spat with someone where I was saying, you know what, you shouldn't integrate into personal finance education in schools because they have not earned money. You either let them earn money, let them do paid internship.
Correct.
Okay. Or let them do a side business.
Yes.
Which brings me to my second point, which is why not have more entrepreneurship also built into children?
100%.
My daughters are 10 years old, and every summer they have to launch a venture.
Right.
And they make money, right?
Yeah.
2 years ago, they made handmade cards, gift cards.
Right.
And they made something like 8,500 rupees.
Not bad.
Right? Now that's really good.
Yeah.
This summer, the summer that got over, they made cookies and then cakes and cupcakes and all of that. And they made just over 14,000 rupees.
Awesome.
Right? So not only does it teach them to build skills, but also how much money is gone, how much have they earned, and then they can spend that money. Okay, they have to keep a book in which they write down everything. But then I also make equal to that money one-time investment in mutual fund.
Yeah.
Because 10 years later, I want to show them the effect of money,
Correct.
right? The effect of investment. So earning money, but also managing it from the point of view from an entrepreneurial standpoint, creating that is very important.
Yes, 100%.
You know, Indians are significantly different from Americans. Most of the even social media, Instagram, is created from an American standpoint. There is not a lot of content which is for Indians by Indians to drive Indian wealth or personal finances. So, in your opinion, or based on what you've researched, how have Indians changed the way they look at money or manage their money in the last 2 to 3 decades? What has changed?
I would say radically. So in our parents' generation, gold and real estate were the default. And it's not because they had some bias against stocks, but it's because stocks were so inaccessible. There was hardly any awareness, commissions were huge, brokerage was huge. People would get fake share certificates, and so you thought you would make a killing, but actually you haven't. All of these issues were there, and all of these issues to a large extent have been resolved now with technology. So now we have a much bigger menu of investment vehicles to save our money in, and so now today's somebody of in their early 30s, I would expect to have some money in mutual funds. They might still be, of course, wanting to buy a house, putting money in gold, but equity and even debt would be some part of their savings.
Okay, so as I understand, one is what has changed in the last 2 to 3 decades is access to a range of financial products which were not there or which were not structured or formalized.
Correct.
Right? Indians are driving crypto accounts more than demat accounts. So any thoughts, opinions on that? Because we are now saying significant jump, right? It's leapfrogging the whole equity investments.
Correct. And that was a huge problem, especially last year when crypto was in a big bull market. I've had people come up to me saying that I've made my first crypto investment. People who haven't put money in anything else. There was, in fact, a study released recently that a fund manager wrote for us in Mint, where something like 70% of Indians entered crypto after the dollar price had crossed a certain threshold. If I remember correctly, that threshold was 20,000. That's crazy. So most of these guys are now in losses.
Right.
They got caught up in that frenzy and lost money.
Absolutely. There's also a lot of scams. Whenever there is money to be made, you have a lot of financial scams. My whole focus on Money with DD is financial freedom. Okay, I believe India will be a better country if everyone is managing their money and they achieve financial freedom. So they take up jobs that are meaningful.
True.
Okay. So what is financial freedom to you?
So here's where it gets interesting, because there is no one number that works for everyone. If you're, single, you might have much lower expenses than if you have family to support. So financial freedom, for each individual is that level of wealth that allows them to live their life the way they want. And that's pretty much how.
Given Indians, you know the income strata of Indians. We are at about $2,300, $2,200 GDP per capita. So what would that number be according to you? In India, how much amount of money is kind of, good enough to be financially free?
I think as a very, very rough rule of thumb for a person who has a middle class lifestyle, then if they cross at least 1 crore of savings, that gets them a measure of financial freedom.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
That is a big number, right? And as people say, getting the first crore is the most difficult. So maybe what we will do is let's dig into the numbers of how people can get into 1 crore of savings. Just a quick question. When you're saying 1 crore of savings or investments, what is the time frame that you're looking at? Like how many years? After how many years? Because if you ask a 20-year-old, they are probably saying, 25 is too late to get 1 crore. But realistically, how long does it take for someone to make a crore in savings?
So there is this very popular rule of 15-15-15 where your money grows at 15%, it's invested over 15 years, then you just have to invest 15,000 rupees a month and you hit a crore.
Right.
Some of these assumptions might not work out. Like today, for money to grow at 15%, you have to be really good in the equity market. But even at a more realistic 12%, you would need somewhere between 15 to 20 years to hit that.
I'm a big proponent that personal finance is a marathon.
Yeah.
It's not a sprint. I'm just publishing my first newsletter, which is on can investing in index funds make you rich?
Yeah.
Right? Financially free rich.
Yeah.
Which again, the number is 15 crore.
Yeah.
Right? So, can I use index funds as the sole strategy to make 15 crore? Right?
You can think of it on similar lines to fitness, right? So if you want to lose 20 kilos, your first landmark can be 5 kilos. And so even if you hit your first 10 lakhs in say 3-4 years, you can reward yourself a little bit, right? You can maybe take some time off, take a sabbatical, know what it feels like, and then work your way towards.
Yeah. So basically, reward yourself for having hit one milestone in a way that allows a better one step up in your lifestyle.
Yeah.